It always comes to this. Morning guys, back again to do another tattoo progress update today. Where I last left off, I had the spider webs done on my right arm, and we went up the neck area. You can see that here, and there's some over here on my shoulder too. A lot of people, you know, probably, I won't know how people will react to these things obviously for a while, but people liked the spider webs the first time, so I'm assuming it'll be very similar the second time. For my sake, it was like, I liked what we had done, but it wasn't bold enough, and it seemed a bit inconsequential. I think still, even in my own brain, this far into this project, let alone the artists I'm working with, I think sometimes it's like, and I have been director for a lot of this, so I'm not scapegoating Terry on this one, but I think sometimes it's like, it's hard to wrap your mind around the idea that things that you could do on normal skin won't translate the same way they would necessarily on blackout tattoo skin. So in the layering process, these tiny or thin lines, though they do get in there, there was no need to really touch up what had been done. It's just that within this dark color that we have, this dark base and all the layering that's happened in there, unless you make it bold and striking, it's a bit hard for the eye to catch it. There's just too much going on in the layering process, not even just in what the eye can see, but just in what's in the arm itself. There's just so much in there that it needed to be bolder for it to stand out. Where there's no fill, there's no contrast within the webs. There's contrast around the web, and that contrast can only bring out the web if it's substantial enough to register to the eye, if that makes sense. Sometimes it's like I have to remind myself that, you know, you are still technically working over top of, at some point, black. There was black there at some point, and there is probably still some amount of it in there, but most of it has been mixed with, you know, additional layers. That's why I find it, this idea like the black will come back one day. Well, then why wouldn't the red come back one day? Because you can cover black with red. So since we've covered the red with black, then would that not indicate that the red would pop through? And in fact, actually, early on, when the blackout wasn't fully saturated in every place, the red did pop through. You could see a red glow. Even 3 sessions of blackout, you could still kind of see like a red shine to the black sometimes in the right light, or direct sunlight. I could see some of the old color, and it wasn't like, oh, the black isn't solid. It's just, I feel like that's always going to be in there somewhere. So if we think the black would come back, then it should follow that eventually the red would come back from my first suit. But I don't think any of that happens. I think it's just most of people's understanding is wrong. I think it's just that we haven't fully saturated the area, and if you did fully saturate it, it would be whatever color you made it now. So with that said, I had another session with Rick here, and did a lot of color in this arm here, and as you can see, the elbow is still not wanting to cooperate much from the last session, which is starting to irritate Rick because he is a bit of a perfectionist in a way. I guess we all are. But for him, it's like, it's hard to get the same amount of detail that he would like to get on, let's face it, a dark canvas, right? So, and he has learned from his own failings to some degree, but it hasn't instructed him in a way that would go like hand in hand with him laying something out. So his natural instinct will always be to put as many little details and things as he can, and that's kind of the charm of this sleeve too, is like there's a lot in here, and it's one of those things where when this is all said and done, and we're still quite a ways off, you'll be able to look at this sleeve, and 10 years later you'll be finding new details. I still look at the top part of it and I'm like picking out little colors and little folds and bends and kind of musculature and different shapes that were put in here, and all the different little, like I really like all these little blue highlights and how they interact with the pink, and how the green pops off the black. There's all kinds of little intricacies, and I feel like it's been, I don't know if it's been frustrating the whole way. I think there are points when it's frustrating for Rick working on this project, when he can't get away with the things that he would like to, or if they don't work the way that he would want them to. But it's frustrating like in the way that he wants to figure it out, like it's a puzzle. It's not like, oh, fuck this, I'm done. It's more like, there's a way to do that. We just need to try some different stuff. So he did some different things here. He used a bunch of different colors for this arm this time, because he's still trying different colors. The man has like, I don't even know, a couple hundred different colors over there. All he does is color work. So, and then mixing colors and things like this, you know, himself with whites and blacks, and seeing what unique colors he can come up with. It's almost like my body is, well, it's not almost like anything. My body has been a giant science experiment for quite some time, and I'm more than willing to be the science experiment. You know, so many people they're almost like confidently asserting that my liver is going to give out on me, or I'm going to die of some unforeseen consequences. And to that I say, like, well, we all do die one day, but I'm in great health now, despite the cold that I currently have. I've had this kind of residual sinus cold. My sinuses are terrible. My nose was broke a few times when I was young, and it's not the best. So if my voice sounds a little funny, that's why. It's not enough to where it would keep me down, or I'm feeling like, oh, I'm probably contagious or anything like that. It's just more of like a kind of stuffiness and at times leakiness. Anyway, I'm not going to go on about that. No one wants to hear about my leakiness. Yeah, I think that Rick has been almost like a chemist mixing potions inside my skin or something. And I've been enjoying it. Like my eyes light up when I see new bottles of color. And like there's times when you find a new color and like it works really well, and it's like, well, we got a new player on the team. You know, like when we found how well the turquoise green/blue works, and then cut that with a little bit of white ink, and it's just this beautiful, beautiful color. Like I think it would probably be too bright on normal skin, honestly. I think it would be like abrasive and almost confrontational to the eye, given how bright that is. But it could just be the case that whatever's in there cuts through the black really well. And that's the other thing, is like there's some inks that just seem to cut the black better than others, right? So you won't know until you try them all. We found several colors, there's several of them in here over the years that have just done the job better. Like when we found Red Velvet, it was like people got the wrong idea. The Red Velvet Fusion was never about, let's make a bright red. It was like, holy shit, that's a nice dark red, you know? And for whatever reason, people took that as, oh, that's the brightest you can get red because it's over black. And despite how many times I've showed people to the contrary, it's like, I think the natural inclination is that I'm making excuses or I'm making it up. Like it's oh yeah, sure, well of course you would say that. It's like, well, but no, I have brighter red. I have it right here, right? It's like, no, because I have so much of this. They would assume that if you would use this big body of red, it would probably always become dark. But we already see that there are multiple different tones you can do over red. And yeah, they're all going to be a little bit darker, but you can get them pretty bright too. That Nebula red, that was the first one we ever tried. And I think that it's still the best bright red that we found. Like the first one we tried. It's not my favorite one tonally. I wouldn't use it everywhere. Like I wouldn't want to use it for the background for all this stuff, because I think it would be too bright and it would be almost garish. It would be again, abrasive, confrontational. There's a reason why I chose this one, and you almost want to take the black background and make it a dark red background, and it is your black now. This is my black. So you can expect that if I did filler, for example, on my legs or my back when I get to them, it would be done in red velvet, because I think it's a really nice color. It doesn't matter that it's dark. Not everything is about how bright can it be. Some things are, but that's where you highlight things, right? Like these roses are well highlighted. That's in conjunction with the red velvet that's dark, that's pushing them off. And you wouldn't get that quite the same contrast without that red velvet, because as we already know, warm tones highlight and accent cold tones. So the dark red is lifting the light blue green, and same as the blue white highlights here. It all works in conjunction. There's a lot more that happens here than is present at a first glance. And it's nice that these projects are becoming more popular now, but a lot of people, their understanding of it is still at the consumer level, where you kind of need to get into more of a tech, theoretical, scientific approach when you get into this stuff. And also some art, obviously, will help you, but people will look at this the wrong way. They're like, oh, I want to go for a session and I want to get that. It's like, no, you need to go for the experience of being tattooed for a while and figuring this out. Then you get that. There is no real fast road to this, even perfected. Even knowing the road very well, it's going to take you a handful to 10 sessions or so. That's if I were to instruct a project step by step to someone, it's going to take that long. It's not going to take one. And a lot of people want one and done, and if they see that it takes more than one, they'll call that a touch-up or something, and they'll be like, wow, the ink doesn't. It's like, no, those are built in, sweetheart. Those are built in. Multiple passes are built in. That is the project. Those don't count as touch-ups. I get kind of nauseated hearing that stuff. Like, I got tagged in an Ink magazine white on black project they post the other day, and like, I don't respond to these comments at all anymore, ever. But it was so irritating. Someone tagged me as an example of this stuff working, and their first fucking reply was, oh, well, Remy gets this work touched up every week. It's not the same. And it was just accepted as like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. It's like, no, I can't touch up a whole fucking bodysuit every week. It can't be done. I'm working on a huge body of work, about to start another huge elaborate project. You cannot be getting this stuff and touching it up every fucking week. It's aggressive. It's an aggressive schedule I have, yes, but I'm creating new work all the time, or altering old projects. It's never touch-ups. You know, how long did I have the rose on my hand, white and black on black? How long did I have the white on black roses on my neck? Was the chest piece aging? It wasn't. It stayed the same until I changed it. Same thing with the moon. The moon is as it was. The tentacles are still not in there. And they'll be like this until we put them in there, you know? It's never a case of the work is fading. It's always a case of the work hasn't been saturated yet. And once it is, that's how it stays. Like any other tattoo, it's particularly hard to pull off certain things over black. Which brings me quite well to my next point. I do have a session coming up with Terry tomorrow, theoretically, if I don't get sicker. If I actually get real sick, I'll call the appointment. I'm not going to go for a huge tattoo session when I'm sick. I don't want to do it. I want this to be good. So, but theoretically, and I'm pretty sure that's going to happen. I have to be pretty sick to cancel a tattoo. I don't think I've ever canceled a tattoo. Anyway, I'm going to be working on my back tomorrow, finally. It seems like it's been a long time coming, but at the same time, like it was just yesterday that I was blacking it out. And I'm not going to get too much into the particulars here, but if you can say all of my projects over black have been experimental to some degree, like my chest piece was learning about all different colors. My rose sleeve originally was seeing if we could make something bold enough that even people who don't like tattoos would understand it. And the arm is about, you know, just slaying the dragon, as I said last week, just making my left arm, it's just about making the impossible happen, like the most elaborate, detailed bullshit you've ever seen over top of blackout happen. Then my back piece will be the exact opposite of that. It'll be how big, bold, and striking can you make a piece over black. And I got a spoiler for you guys. When this all starts, it's gonna be pretty fucking striking. With that said, I've been scaring myself a little bit with this project because I know it's gonna take quite a while, and I'm not afraid of pain by any means. And by now, I shouldn't have to clarify this, but I'm not a bitch. I can deal with a bit of pain. But I have been scaring myself a little bit with this one because I know it's going to be, I think, probably between 20 and 30 sessions, being realistic. And they're all going to be fairly lengthy sessions, too. They're not going to be these 2-3 hour sessions that I have with Rick. They're probably more like 3 to 5 hour territory with Terry. And we're going to cover a lot of ground most times. And not the least of which the first time. I'm planning on having the whole thing lined out in one session. And it's going to be a lot more painful than the arm, because backs just are. There's some easy spots, sure. And none of this is dissuading me. It's just going to be a long journey and a painful one. So part of me is like, this probably for all the right reasons might be my last giant project that I start. I think that the back piece could be finished before my left arm, though. Realistically, it could be. Like, there's some potential that back finishes before the left arm. But after that, it's just going to be reworking what's on my torso, still coloring the tentacles. You know, that's going to be a bit of a project, but that will go fairly quickly comparatively. And just maintenance and buffing and altering and, you know, just little janitorial work sort of thing on my torso. My legs, I've decided already that my legs are going to be scrapbook. Again, I'm not going, at least for now, I don't think I'm going to get into any huge projects on my legs. I think those are going to be a fun memory board again, like my first set of leg sleeves were. So the back piece, I'm looking down the pipe, and it's like, this is my last huge undertaking. And some of you guys are going to immediately call bullshit on that. It could be the case. I've said before, I may end up blacking out my rose sleeve and doing another one. But yeah, there's all kinds of things theoretically you could do, but I think what would be logical is another few years going hard at this and then taking it a bit easy and working myself into a semi-retirement with the art form, as crazy as that sounds. I don't know that I'll ever fully stop, but I can say for sure that I won't be going as hard as I am now for 10 years from now. I just won't. And it's not because I don't enjoy it. It's just I've given myself a certain rule set, and I'm pretty good at adhering to rules. I don't often cross my own lines like some do. If I did, I would have a full face tattoo right now, for example. So I'm going to respect the lines that I've drawn, and the lines I've drawn are a finished full color suit over black. And I don't know what that looks like completely yet, but that's basically the goal line. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys again soon. Have a great day.